الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious,
الصديقة
the most
العزيزة
merciful,
السيدة
the
دوبرافكا
dear
سويتشا
friend Dubravka
مفوضة
Suica,
الاتحاد
the
الأوروبي
EU
للمتوسط.
Commissioner for the
السيدات
Mediterranean,
والسادة
ladies and
الكرام،
gentlemen,
إنه من
honorable
دواعي
guests.
سروري أن
It's an
أرحب
honor and pleasure to
بالسيدة
welcome
مفوضة
Her
الاتحاد
Excellency,
الأوروبي للبحر
the
المتوسط
EU
في
Commissioner
القاهرة
for
والوفد
the
الأوروبي المرافق لها
Mediterranean and the
في
accompanying
زيارتها إلى
delegation
القاهرة،
in her visit
متمنيا
to
لها
Cairo,
زيارة
and
ناجحة
we
تعكس
deeply
عمق
wish her
العلاقات
the best wishes
الاستراتيجية
because her
القائمة
presence
بين
here
مصر
reflects
والاتحاد
the deep
الأوروبي
partnerships and the
وحرص
relationship that
الجانبين
binds between
المصري
Egypt and the European
والأوروبي
Union
على
and
مواصلة
the
التنسيق والتشاور
commitment
فيما
between both of
بيننا
us to continue
حول
and to sustain the
مختلف
consultations
القضايا
between us
التي
and touch
تهمنا،
upon a
سواء
number of
القضايا
files that are so much
الاقتصادية
interesting for both of us
والسياسية
at the economic,
والأمنية
political and security levels
التي
that
تهم
are
الجانبين
so much
المصري
important for
والأوروبي.
both sides, the European
وتأتي
side and the
زيارة
Egyptian
السيدة
side.
المفوضة إلى
Her
مصر في
Excellency's
إطار
visit to Egypt
الزخم
comes within the framework
الملحوظ
of the momentum
الذي
that is
تشهده العلاقات بين مصر
significant and
والاتحاد
that is
الأوروبي
witnessed
خلال
by the
الفترة
relationship
الماضية،
between the European Union and
خاصة
Egypt.
منذ ترفيع العلاقات بين الجانبين إلى مستوى الشراكة الاستراتيجية الشاملة، وهي الشراكة التي توجت بعقد القمة المصرية الأوروبية الأولى في بروكسل في أكتوبر الماضي بين فخامة الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي والسيدة رئيسة المفوضية الأوروبية السيدة أورسولا فون دير لاين والسيد رئيس المجلس الأوروبي كوستا خلال شهر أكتوبر من عام 2025 كما ذكرت. ومنذ ذلك الحين فإن وتيرة الاتصالات والزيارات المتبادلة واللقاءات رفيعة المستوى بين الجانبين مستمرة وتتقدم بسرعة، ويأتي في مقدمتها الاجتماع الذي تشارك فيه السيد رئيس الجمهورية مع رئاسة الاتحاد الأوروبي في قبرص خلال شهر إبريل الماضي لبحث تطورات الأوضاع في الشرق الأوسط، فضلا كما تعلمون اللقاء الهام الذي عقده فخامة الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي في فيان على هامش قمة مجموعة الدول الصناعية السبع الكبرى مؤخرا في شهر يونيو الماضي مع السيدة فون دير لاين، وأيضا لقاء آخر مع السيد كوستا رئيس المجلس الأوروبي. وفي هذا الإطار وفي إطار هذا التطور الملموس في العلاقات بين الطرفين، تأتي زيارة مفوضة المتوسط إلى القاهرة بعد حوالي 3 أسابيع من عقد الدورة 11 لمجلس المشاركة بين مصر والاتحاد الأوروبي في لوكسمبورغ مؤخرا، حيث تشرفت برئاسة الوفد المصري جنبا إلى جنب السيدة الممثلة العليا للسياسة الخارجية والأمنية السيدة كايا كالاس والسيدة دوبرافكا سويتشا مفوضة البحر المتوسط. وبالتأكيد كنت قد التقيت مع السيدة سويتشا في لوكسمبورغ منذ 3 أسابيع، ومن ثم هذا اللقاء يأتي في إطار الحوار الممتد والمستمر فيما بين مصر والمفوضية الأوروبية. السيدات والسادة، أجرينا اليوم مباحثات بناءة وصريحة تناولت سبل تعزيز علاقة المشاركة الاستراتيجية الشاملة بين مصر والاتحاد الأوروبي، لا سيما في إطار الأولويات ال6 التي تم الاتفاق عليها، والتي تستهدف تحقيق الأمن والاستقرار والرفاهية ليس فقط في مصر ودول الاتحاد الأوروبي، ولكن أيضا في منطقة المتوسط، فضلا عن الهدف الأهم والأولوية الأهم، وهي بطبيعة الحال تعزيز التعاون والعلاقات الاقتصادية والاستثمارية والتجارية بين مصر والاتحاد الأوروبي ودوله 27، خاصة في قطاعات ذات الأولوية مثل قطاعات الطاقة الأحفورية والطاقة الجديدة والمتجددة، وأيضا الطاقة النظيفة، ومجالات الهجرة والتنمية البشرية ومواجهة التحديات المشتركة، فضلا عن توطيد وتعزيز التشاور السياسي والحوار السياسي بين الجانبين المصري والأوروبي. واستعرضت أيضا مع السيدة
Also, with Her Excellency Switcha, today we have discussed and touched upon all the efforts exerted by Egypt in the development and the economic reform pathways and the transfer of technology, as well as supporting the private sector with what would achieve the mutual interest and would create new opportunities for the employment. And also, I have repeatedly stressed during the discussion that Egypt is committed to achieve this and to continue this strategic partnership with the European Union and to build up on what has been achieved over the past period with what would serve the mutual interests of both sides and with what would achieve stability and security in the Mediterranean region. Particularly, the security and stability of Egypt is a piece and parcel of the security and stability of the European Union and also of this region, including the Mediterranean region. Also, together, we have agreed upon the mutual work for the sake of confronting and to face the challenges that we are witnessing, and also to enhance consultation among both of us based on the mutual dialogue and the reciprocal respect to achieve the mutual interests. And we have deeply discussed the achievement and the execution of the European commitments that have to do with the package of the financial support that is going to be provided by the European Union to Egypt. And as you know, this package is estimated by 4.7 billion euro, and it includes, or a part of it that is estimated by around, it is up to 5 billion euros as a direct support for the Egyptian budget. And as you know, previously, 2 billion euros have been granted to Egypt, and now we have 3 more remaining billion euros that are going to be granted to Egypt. And this is what Her Excellency, the EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean, is going to discuss, that 3 billion euros are going to be transferred on 2 batches. I anticipate that this is going to be conducted over the coming months. The first segment is going to be estimated by 1.5 billion, as I understand, and the last segment is going to be injected over the coming period, and we do hope that the last segment or the last part would be transferred during the coming autumn, particularly within the framework of the serious challenges that are being faced by Egypt with regards to the economy because of the recurrent conflicts in the region, and because of the wars and the conflicts in the region, particularly related to what has happened in Gaza Strip and what still is happening there, and the escalation that has happened in the Red Sea region and Bab and Mandab Strait, and also the closure that has taken place over the past weeks for Hormuz Strait. And this has led to dire consequences and repercussions because of this situation, and this has led to the hike in the prices of the oil and the natural gas, and also repercussions that have affected the navigation in the SC zone, and also the losses that Egypt has incurred have been estimated by more than 10.5 billion US dollar net losses because of the impacts of the situation on the navigation in the SC zone. And also we have touched upon the files of migration and the Egyptian great efforts, again I repeat, great efforts exerted by Egypt in the field of confronting and facing the illegal and the irregular migration. This has been conducted through taking a number of procedures by the Egyptian side, be it through raising awareness and to warn against the repercussions of this phenomenon. through creating job opportunities, more employment opportunities, and also to work more on confronting the challenges, the serious challenges, including hosting more than 10 million refugees on the Egyptian land, and to deal with this issue and file in a way that would strike a balance between our international responsibilities and also protecting the internal affairs. And we appreciate the cooperation that binds between both of us, and we do hope that we can expedite the transfer of the identified amount for the file of dealing with the migration issue here in Egypt, that is estimated by around 200 million euros. And this is within the framework of the package that I have talked about, that is estimated by 4.7 billion euros, and 200 million out of them are allocated for confronting the migration issue, and this is really important for us. And we highly appreciate this, and this is going to tackle also the refugees on the Egyptian land. And also we do hope that we can expedite again this amount of money either during this year or over the coming year. Also through the consultations with Ms. Switcha, we found that we agree on a huge number of issues and topics, and we do have a sincere will, and the European Union has a sincere will that goes in line with our eagerness to have a wider scale of cooperation. And as you know, we anticipate and we are already working, and today we have talked about the preparation of the second summit, for the second European Egyptian summit that is going to be hosted by Egypt here over the coming year, with the presidency of His Excellency President El-Sisi. And also we hail the participation of the head of the EU Commission and the European Council. This summit is going to be held next year here in Egypt, and this is within the framework of promoting the relationship between Egypt and the European Union to the level of the comprehensive strategic relationship, and this has been agreed upon during the visit of His Excellency President El-Sisi to Brussels last October in the first Egyptian-European Summit. And also, together we have talked about the core of conflict in the region, which is the Palestinian cause, particularly the situations in the West Bank and in Gaza Strip, and the efforts that are being exerted by Egypt in dealing with the situations there in Gaza Strip. And also we highly appreciate the European efforts and the financial support to the national forces in and the national government in Palestine. And we highly appreciate the conference that is going to be hosted and held by the European Commission and the service body in Europe for the donor countries for the Palestinian cause. This role is highly appreciated by all of us, and Egypt also is going to participate in this significant conference that aims at mobilizing and collecting money from inside the European Commission to support our brothers in Palestine and to support the Palestinian forces. And also we do hope that a number of other files also could witness our support and participation and partnership. And also the MOU that has been reached by the American and the Iranian sides, we highly appreciate it, and Egypt is exerting great efforts in coordination with the European Union for the sake of ensuring executing this MOU on the ground in order to transform this MOU from mere main principles into a final agreement. And we would like to finalize all the pending files that we have referred to in the MOU, like the nuclear file, the freedom of navigation, the penalties, the regional security. All these topics are highly sensitive and important, and we have referred to all of them in the MOU. And we deeply support all the efforts that are being exerted, and on daily basis we consult with our colleagues in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, and also with Turkey and all the relevant entities and countries in order to finalize all these files, and this is something that we highly appreciate and support. We and also the European Union support this so much, and we do capitalize on finding a consultation mechanism between the E3 and the E4, or the R4. Also, we've talked about the freedom of the navigation, ensuring the freedom of navigation according to the principles of the international law. Also, we've talked about a number of regional conflicts and crises, like the situations in Libya, Sudan, Lebanon, and we have also agreed upon the importance of working on achieving the full Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon, and definitely we would like to keep the current ceasefire. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to reiterate that the relationship between Egypt and the European Union is quite important. It is a comprehensive strategic relationship that is based and built on the reciprocal respect and the non-interference in the internal affairs of the countries, as well as working on achieving the mutual Egyptian-European interests with what would achieve security and stability in the region. And I would like to seize this opportunity to welcome again Her Excellency, the EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean, as a dear guest to our hearts in Egypt. And also we would like to reiterate that Egypt is committed to continue the mutual work with the European Union over the coming period, with what would achieve the aspirations of our peoples towards a more prosperous future. Welcome once again, dear, and also I would like to refer that Ms. Switcha has inaugurated and started the discussions today by extending congratulations to Egypt, first of all, on the winning of the national team to round 16 and the great performance that we have witnessed for this football national team yesterday in its match versus Australia, and also dozens of the foreign ministers in the Arab countries and the European countries also have congratulated us on this well-deserved winning, and also on the 100 years that have passed since the establishment of this institution, which is the Foreign Ministry. That's all from my side, and I would like to give the floor now to Ms. Dubravka Switcha, the EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean, to deliver her speech. The floor is yours, ma'am. لم تترك لي أي شيء معالي الوزير، لقد غطيت كل شيء.
I can only agree with the minister. So, dear Minister Abdelatty, dear all, thank you for receiving us here. Thank you for a warm welcome, and thank you for a very constructive debate today. It's always a pleasure to be in Cairo, and we want to somehow say that we appreciate such a positive moment of the relations between the European Union and Egypt. Of course, first I want to congratulate Egypt football team for winning the game last night, but also I want to congratulate, because I saw it at the entrance, but I know 200 years of your ministry, this is a big achievement. So first, congratulations. As you know, our meeting comes just a few weeks after the very successful Association Council in Luxembourg, and this of course reflects the strength of our strategic and comprehensive partnership and shared determination to deliver concrete results for our citizens, for your citizens, for our citizens. So today we took stock of the excellent progress we are making together and looked ahead towards the next steps. Our partnership is already delivering. Together, we are strengthening Egypt's and Europe's, of course, economic resilience, supporting reforms, mobilizing investments, and creating new opportunities for businesses and young people. As you rightly said, we are trying to transfer from donor-recipient methodology to investment methodology, and this is what we are trying to do. Building on the success of a last investments conference, we are working through EU-Egypt investment platform to help mobilize up to €10.8 billion in public and private investment by the end of 2027. This is something which we would like to achieve. And I also want to welcome the progress with the macro-financial assistance which you mentioned, and I have only to approve what you said. So this month, in coming weeks, there will be a disbursement of €1.5 billion. So this is the second tranche, and by the end of the year, autumn you said, there will be next tranche also €1.5 billion, just to be sure. So this supports Egypt's successful reform agenda and contributes, as we already said, to sustainable growth, to competitiveness, and to private sector development, which is very important. At the same time, we are investing in innovation and people. Egypt's association to Horizon Europe, which is also important, opens a new chapter in our cooperation on research and innovation. We are also cooperating on managing migration, including joint efforts on fighting smugglers, border management, protection, and stepping up legal migration. I have to commend the role of Egypt in this sector, so I really have to commend it. You know that on migration, the European Union has €200 million in support for Egypt until 2028. I'm committed to accelerate the contracts in order to implement these funds, and I hope to approximately 50% by the end of this year. This is very important to mention. You know that we have talent partnership in order to strengthen skills, labour mobility and opportunities for young people on both sides of the Mediterranean. We have also discussed the situation in our shared neighbourhood, as already said. You know, and all of us know, that Egypt is an indispensable partner in the region for regional peace and stability, and we rely on Egypt. I would also like to thank Minister Abdelatty and the Egyptian authorities for their continued diplomatic engagement, particularly on Gaza, because I'm in charge of Gaza reconstruction. The Palestine Donor Group Ministerial will take place on the 13th of July in Brussels. I look forward to hosting you in Brussels to advance together our support for Palestinians. It's not only about mobilizing money, as you said, it is about mobilizing money, but it's also about the reforms of the Palestinian Authority, which is very important. So in this challenging time, it's very important to coordinate between the European Union and Egypt, and it's, as I said, more important than ever. Beyond responding to today's crisis, which you elaborated, we are also building the Mediterranean of tomorrow, and we have one instrument, which is the Pact for the Mediterranean. So this Pact for the Mediterranean, as you already know, is our framework and our strategy, and I hope that the peace will come to the region and that we will be able also to work through Pact, but we can work through Pact already because all the countries of the region are there. I'm particularly pleased that Egypt is already playing a leading role in two flagship initiatives. The first is TMED. It's about energy, renewable energy, and clean technologies. It will strengthen energy connectivity, it will support the green transition, and it will unlock new investments and jobs across the region. Only 2 weeks ago, we were together, you know, in Luxembourg. We witnessed together the European Investment Bank, in the European Investment Bank, the signature of 690 million for electricity grids. The second flagship initiative is MedSkill Tracker, which will help better anticipate labour market needs, strengthen skills development and create more opportunities for young people. This is very important to mention because we are in the process of establishing Mediterranean University. We are sure that Cairo and Egypt will be part, your universities will be part of this alliance, of this network, because all of us are speaking about skills, about young people, so we need young people to have vocational training and to get skills for the jobs of the future or for the jobs of the present, green jobs, artificial intelligence and all new technologies. We are also establishing a youth parliamentary assembly of the Mediterranean. I don't know whether you have young parliamentarians in your parliament. I was this morning there. I saw this grandiose building. I hope that there are young parliamentarians there. So we would like to give young elected representatives the chance to discuss among themselves, to connect, and we want to give them a stronger voice in shaping their future. So we are saying we are not talking about them, we are talking with them, and they have to talk among themselves because they know what they need. So this is very important. A youth parliamentary assembly will be established at Mediterranean University because knowing the demographic figures here, and this is very important. So I want to conclude by reminding you that there is important role of our implementing partner, which is called Union for the Mediterranean. We need Union for the Mediterranean. They have parliamentary assembly today, here and tomorrow. They have convening power, and they are key partner in rolling out of the pact and our projects, including through its ministerial meetings. You know that this pact has its action plan. First iteration is already out. The second iteration will come by the end of the year, so Egypt is also welcome and invited to come out with the different projects, because if you are listed in this action plan, you will be easily financed. So this is very important to mention once again. Looking forward to the next year's summit between European Union and Egypt, which will be held here in Egypt. I want you all the best, and are we open to the questions or not? I don't know. Yes. Thank you.
Before that, if you allow me just to comment on what you have mentioned, يعني بالنسبة لموضوع الشباب
I just wanted to comment on what you've mentioned, particularly on the young parliamentaries and members of the parliament, and I do second the importance of empowering the young MPs, and we are currently witnessing the representation of a huge number of the youth in the Egyptian parliament, and they have been elected, by the way, and they are playing a distinguished and unique role in the parliament, and we are quite ready to deepen the parliamentary collaboration between them and the European countries, or even inside the European Parliament. And this is really important because we are now about to hold a forum for the Arab members of the parliament in the Arab countries. And this is a kind of cooperation that would bind between the Egyptian members of the parliament of the youth and the young members of the parliament in the Arab countries, because we deeply believe that parliamentary diplomacy is quite important. The topic of the Mediterranean University is quite important, and we have discussed this in the first European-Egyptian summit in Brussels last October, and we do hope that there would be a kind of cooperation between both of us, and that Egypt would be a hub for this network of the alliance between the universities, and that we can actively participate in it, and also to sign all the agreements that have to do with this, like Erasmus Plus and Horizon Europe. All these agreements are quite important for the sake of documenting and enhancing and deepening the collaboration between all of us in all these domains. And this is what we are really looking for, and we do hope that there would be an interaction at the educational level, at the academic level, at the scientific level, and all the relevant levels in order to be able to achieve prosperity, stability, and security through the execution and the implementation of the vision of President al-Sisi that mentions that the most critical and the most difficult mission doesn't have to do with constructing and building cities, but rather in building the humans. The human capital and the human development are the two main pillars, and this is why we are perceiving the European Union as an indispensable partner for the sake of promoting the relationships between both of us, particularly in the field of the human development and the development of skills in the vocational education, technical education, university education, and also the importance of the connection between the academia, the professors, the students, and everyone. Thank you so much. Let's now receive questions. Mr. Ahmed Othman, the correspondent of Al Arabiya channel. Greetings, Your Excellencies. You've mentioned that over the hour you are following up the Palestinian cause, and Cairo over the past days has hosted a number of mediators, and particularly from Hamas. Can you please let us know about the situation and the efforts exerted by Egypt and also the mediators for the sake of implementing the plan that Trump has established, and as you have mentioned, the R4 in order to ensure that there is no more escalation? Thank you so much. As for the first question that you have mentioned, Cairo and Egypt are going to continue their communication and the connection with our colleagues in Turkey and in Qatar and all the factions in Palestine, including Hamas. These communications did not stop and will never stop, and we would effortlessly keep working on reaching to a settlement, particularly on these two important issues, for the sake of inaugurating the negotiations and to move to the second phase of Trump's plan. As for the Israelis' withdrawal from Gaza, Egypt is going to continue in its effort in this regard, and the communication would continue as well. And once again, we would continue and keep on being patient and ensuring the implementation of all the steps and all the procedures that could be taken, all the communications and the connections that could be conducted for the sake of working on having a better and more positive interaction with the proposal and the suggestions that have been raised with regards to the seizure of the arms and the ceasefire for all the factions in Gaza and in Palestine, including Hamas. These efforts have never stopped and will never stop in the future. And we always said that the withdrawal of Israel from Gaza Strip should be in line with what has been mentioned in Trump's plan. And as you know, there are some internal improvements for some relevant parties that might have an impact on the fast responses regarding what has been suggested. But again, we would never stop the efforts exerted in this regard. And as for the efforts with the four parties, I would like to say that these efforts are going to continue through our collective and individual connections with the both sides, the Iranian and the American sides, and the other relevant parties globally, including the European Union, for the sake of working on ensuring the continuity of the negotiations. And the negotiations, by the way, are going on very well at a technical level. And We will continue and go on in these efforts exerted by all of us in this framework. And as you know, the four groups have met here in Egypt, and as you know, His Excellency the President has attended this meeting of the four forces, and we would like to keep on this momentum that is witnessed. And as you know, we need to translate the MOU into a final agreement that provides full-fledged solutions to all the pending files, including the nuclear file, the security concerns, the penalties, the freedom of navigation, and not to affect it by any party. Thank you. Another question, Ms. Sabil Slim from Al-Qahira Al-Ikhbariyya. My question to Ms. Dubravka Switcha: how does the European Union perceive the future of partnership with the South Mediterranean countries, and what are the most prominent files and priorities that you are going to focus on over the coming period?
Thank you for this question.
شكرا جزيلا على هذا السؤال.
As I said, the pact is our strategy and our framework. So this pact is divided into three different pillars, which are, in fact, our strategy. First, people-to-people contacts. As the Minister rightly said, human capital. Second one is investments, economy, but mainly about energy, be it about renewables, be it with and some other forms of energy. And the third one is resilience, preparedness, and migration. So these topics are of utmost importance. But fortunately or unfortunately, there are different positions in different countries. So we are working with countries bilaterally, because it's not the same in Morocco and in Tunisia. It's not the same in Jordan and Egypt. So we are trying to work on this bilateral agreements, strategic partnership agreements, and this is all about it. So people, young people are very important, and since I'm also in charge of demography, for me this is very important, knowing the numbers which are booming here in this part of the world and shrinking in Europe. So we have to put this somehow in balance, and this is why we are working on also on talent partnerships, on legal pathways for those who want to come to Europe to come legally, not illegally. We are fighting illegal migration, and you are helping us. As I said, it's not only to say that Egypt's role is indispensable. Egypt's role, you are doing the job for all of us, for Egypt, but also for Europe. On energy, it is very important. I know that you have very big projects. I mentioned this 690 million loan for the electricity grid. This is very important, of course, but there is plenty of, there are sources of energy, but we have to have interconnectivity with Europe. We have to have grids here, but also in Europe we don't have grids in all the countries, to be clear. And the third one on migration, security, preparedness and resilience. This is about prosperity. This is about how we think that peace will come to this region, and in order, if we somehow assure that this is here, then investments will come easier. Because let's be open, nobody will invest its capital into the region where there is no peace and prosperity. They want to be sure where their capital goes, and this is all about that. So we have to connect all these three dots in order to achieve prosperity. So there is much more to say, but there are particular projects, flagship initiatives, but maybe we can talk about it this next time.
I would like just to confirm what you have mentioned, especially with regard to interconnectivity. We have one very important project with Greece, yes, Greece, and we hope to move forward on that. And as you correctly mentioned, if we are serious about fighting illegal migration, we have to encourage regular migration, talent programs, and using our skillful labor in Europe is another also way to benefit. You know, we have a pretty young society here, and you have aging society, so we can help each other and we can have a mutually beneficiary relationship.
سؤال آخر، أستاذ أمل صبري، التلفزيون المصري. مساء الخير يا فندم. سؤالي لمعالي الوزير الدكتور بدر عبد
My
العاطي.
question is
معالي
directed to His
الوزير،
Excellency Minister Badr Abdelatty. Egypt and the European Union have declared promoting the relationship between them into or to the level of the strategic partnership. And are there any initiatives that bind between Egypt and the EU Commission for the Mediterranean over the coming period that you would like to declare? And also, what are the files that are witnessing improvement and progress or during the current negotiations? Thank you. Thank you so much. There is a mutual political will and keenness from the side of Egypt and from the side of the European Union, particularly in being committed to the implementation of all the items of the agreement that has to do with promoting the relationship between both of us into or up to the level of the comprehensive strategic relationship. And in 2024, in March 2024, we have stressed on that in the summit. And we are already cooperating with the Commission of the Mediterranean, particularly on the topic of investment. This is mainly the topic that witnesses the cooperation between us and Her Excellency, the EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean. And we mainly focus on the sector of investment. How? Through implementing what has been agreed upon, and 1.8 billion. We said that we do have 7.4 billion euros, 5 for the budget, and 200 million are allocated for supporting the file of migration. And also we do have 1.8 billion euros allocated for supporting the private sector and the investment. And these are the guarantees that are provided by the European Union through the Egyptian and the European banks to support the investment sector in Egypt, and also from the side of the European investment sector. However, it has some concerns because of the disturbance and the situation and the conflicts in the region, not only in Egypt, but also in the region. And also, we would like to enhance the participation of the SMEs. This is why the 1.8 billion euros, we're trying to make all the SMEs and all the firms in Egypt to maximize its benefit from it, as all these guarantees are granted and provided with limited interests. So this is why we would like all the SMEs to benefit really and deeply from that. And also we focus on many topics like, for example, the clean energy, the green transition. And through our discussion with Ms. Switcha, we have talked about enabling Egypt to become a hub for producing the clean and the renewable energy, particularly the green urea and the green ammonia. And also, all these files are files that are interesting for both of us, and there are some European companies that are working currently on benefiting from all these topics. Also, there are some countries that are not members in the European Union that are interested in such topics like Norway. So, we do capitalize on Her Excellency, the EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean, to push these relationships forward, particularly on investment, because the pillar of investment is the most important pillar for us, and we have repeatedly complained of the mechanisms that impede the accessibility and the penetration of the Egyptian goods and commodities into the European market. And we really would like to make the green transition a fair and just transition. What does this mean? This means that to transform into this green transition or the green industry in some sectors, like for example the steel and iron or the aluminum or whatsoever, to transform them into clean industries, to make use of the renewable energy, there should be an easy loan and accessible funding, and there should be a capacity building, technical support and others in order to be able to achieve this transformation and transition in a fair way. أود أن أضيف شيء هنا. لكي نتمكن من تحقيق كل ذلك نحتاج إلى استقرار أيضا. نحتاج إلى
stable judicial system. This is what we need, not us, but also private investors for Europe, from Europe. And this is very important. This is not only in Egypt, but in the region as a whole. So there are different financial instruments like guarantees, like blending, and we have some money in our funding, but we somehow think that each euro should be multiplied by 5, and this is the case. So, but we need stability in order to achieve this, in order to convince European investors to come here. There are many of them who were here during the conference. They pledged 49 billion euro. Now we are thinking how to, as I mentioned in my introductory speech, 10.8 billion euro is investment platform. We are following what's going on. So this is very important. So green transition is also important, but we have to be, we are staying the course, but we have to be, we are doing this step by step. We cannot do it abruptly. This is very important to know, because we want to keep our Mediterranean clean, not only sea but also air. For us it is very important, for all of you, for 600 million people who live in our region. So it's very important. Thank you.
And this is what we are working with you on, and we are fully committed, of course, to provide all kinds of incentives and to create more conducive environment for investment. And this country is very stable, and with regard fiscal policies, with regard monetary policies, and we have enacted new legislations to empower private sector. For the first time, we have a ceiling now for public investment not to exceed $20 billion in order to give more space for private sector. And now the share of the Egyptian private sector in total investment in Egypt moved in the last 4 years from 34% to 65%. And we are committed to reach 75% within the coming 2 or 3 years. This is a testament of the Egyptian full commitment to give more space, more empowerment to private sector, and of course to ensure stable fiscal, monetary policies in Egypt and legislative policies in Egypt, of course, in order to make the environment here more conducive for European investors.
Okay.
شكرا. آخر سؤال أستاذ أيمن شوقي من جريدة الوطن.
سؤالي موجه للمفوضة الأوروبية لشؤون المتوسط.
Newspaper. The question is related to the EU Commissioner. How does the EU assess the efforts exerted by Egypt in confronting the illegal migration and the hosting of the migrants and the refugees? And what is the message you would like to deliver about the partnership between Egypt and the European Union? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I already touched upon this. So Egypt is, as I said, indispensable here in the region, especially in the field of migration, because you are keeping the border towards Sudan, you are keeping the different borders, and we know that there are different routes, but we are now, we are somehow devoted to whole of route approach. So we want to know what's going on, what happens with those who come from Pakistan, Bangladesh, go through Emirates, through Egypt, somewhere else. So you are doing your role, and we are, I said, we commend whatever Egypt's authorities are doing in this. We spoke about money. We have this 200 million. We will try to accelerate this disbursement, and this is all about that. Egypt's role is of utmost importance, and we really, if you ask me to assess, I will say that we have excellent relations. Of course, there is always something on our side, on your side, but this is normally in partnership relations. So this is all about that. So migration is a big issue, not only for Egypt, but for the Europe as a whole, for the world as a whole, for United States. You know, migration is a big issue, and we have really to see what are the best, regulations, what are the best laws but we have to stick always to international law, and this is what we are doing. This is what Egypt is doing. So I want to thank you, and I just wanted to finish with this question on pact for the Mediterranean, which when you see now the three pillars are interconnected. Without people who are educated, without university, without, you don't have new skills, you don't have people. Then you need energy. We want to have decarbonized regions, so we need investments in energy. But in order to do it, there is a third pillar, which is security, prosperity, resilience. So we have to. So everything is interconnected. Political situation is very important, and this is why Egypt is important as regional partner, because you have very good relations with all people in the region. For us, Gulf is also very important, whatever you may mean, because without Gulf, although they are not geographically Mediterranean, we wouldn't be able to have prosperity in the region. I will tell you that there were many initiatives to invest, for example, in Syria or in Gaza, but due to their problems, due to Iran issue and the Strait of Hormuz, they are not anymore that keen to do it. So you see how this is not their first priority now, but it was priority at one moment. So we really have to make the situation better, and your role, your Minister of Foreign Affairs, is very important, because he has very good and open channels with all. Without that, I don't think that we will manage. So thank you once again for all you have been doing, and I'm sure that we can step up and accelerate our cooperation in future. Thank you.
ناخد بس سؤال أخير من أستاذ محمد مصطفى 20,000.
One last question. Congratulations once again, Dr. Badr, on the winning of the national football team yesterday. And also, through Your Excellency, we would like to congratulate all the embassies, the Egyptian embassies abroad, because of the great role that it has played on sponsoring the happiness activities and practices and the excitement activities that the Egyptian people have conducted abroad because of the match. Also, Her Excellency, the EU Commissioner has talked about the important topics that you have talked about in the discussions. Yesterday, within the framework of sports and the football, we found that there is a great support provided to Palestine. Yesterday, the fans of the team and many of the groups of the Egyptians abroad have really gathered together in order to do two things: support the Egyptian national football team and to support the Palestinian cause and to support Gaza. How do you perceive that? Thank you so much. These spirits reflect the relationships and the ties that bind between Egypt and the Arab countries and the countries in Africa, because Egypt is always proud of this Arab and African belonging. And the Egyptian people are always feeling happy for the other Arabs and for the Africans. And we are really saddened by any characteristics of sadness or conflicts or crises that the other countries would witness. This would reflect how the relationships between Egypt and the Arab countries and the African countries that they are closely tied together, and that we feel for others and we feel for each other, and that we have the same destiny, the same fate, the same history, the same pain, the same sorrows, the same losses, the same hopes, the same aspirations. And I have been really touched, but I didn't feel that this is something weird or strange, because as the other Egyptians, we see that our brothers in the Arab countries, they feel happy for us whenever we are happy, and they feel sad for us whenever something bad happens to us. And we do hope that this would continue, that this spirit would last forever, that when any Arab country reaches to something unique and distinguished, we feel happy for them. I didn't feel that this is something strange. I feel that this is the normal situation. We support each other, we feel happy for each other, and this would show the principles that we have been brought up upon, that we are one nation, one faith, one aspirations, and through our solidarity, through this support, we can achieve more and more, and no Arab or African country solely can face all these challenges, but rather being in a group is the secret of success.